Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome to this. Welcome back to another stream. It's a Wednesday night. We're reviewing League One as a whole. As always, just the 8 games this weekend. 4 were curtailed due to international call-ups. Some big results over the weekend as well. The table is starting to shape up now. We're 2 months into the Sky Bet League One season as we approach this weekend's week of action as we enter October. Yes, the season's flying by. The season's not really got going yet, in my opinion, which we'll get to in a minute. But we need someone, and he is in the studio today. There's going to be no problems, at least. Unfortunately, Tom from 4-0 written all over it couldn't make it, so we've had to get Jake again. He's here in the studio. We'll get him in. How are we, Jake?
Yeah, I've not been compared to a B-Tech Tom before. No, I'm good, mate. Actually, as it goes, got home from work. Had a pretty decent day at work. Had a good week actually. Spoke to Tom. I spoke to Jack from the Young Fan Podcast, and I've done a bit with him this week as well. So, looking forward to having a game at the end of the week to look forward to. Bolton away is going to be a good one. Hopefully, I'll be going up to the Reebok or the Macron or whatever you want to call it.
University of Bolton Stadium.
Yeah, looking forward to going up there again, and I think we're going to put in a decent performance based on what we've had so far this year. So looking forward to it, and although our teams aren't playing, it'll be nice to talk about some football because the weekend was really boring, wasn't it?
To be fair, I'll be honest with you, I had a nice weekend away from it. I think I've got to that stage now where I can enjoy football as a whole. Since doing this, I used to be at a loss when Fleetwood weren't playing, but it gave me a chance to relax and do a little bit of League One content because I've been all over the place. I'm not like you, Jake. I don't just go and have 3 days off after one of these shows. You're constantly at it, recording with Tom, again, researching into a little bit of the kind of the season so far because it's been an interesting one. If you look at it, we've had 9 weeks into season started on the 30th of July. We've only had 9 games, 10 games in. Normally, in the first 9 weeks, you have 12 or 13 games. My doorbell's going, but don't worry, I'm not getting that.
I've seen that from Tony. I've seen that from Tony. I don't look, Tony. No, it's a style, mate. I've got hair. I've got plenty of it. If you're calling out someone's haircut, this man's not had a trim for 3 weeks. So let's get after him, not me. Thank you.
I look like a bush, don't I? Should we get on and talk with some League One action? Guys, if you could like the stream down below as well, that'd be massively appreciated. And keep leaving your chat in. We'll get it in during the stream as well. We will answer it along the way. 8 games, Jake. Forest Green, we'll start off with. They had a disappointing display against Exeter. It was live in front of Sky TV cameras, and a lot of the reaction of my friends was how are Forest Green in League One. Now they have got there on merit, and it's been a tough start for them. If you look at who they played, a couple of the defeats at home, they've been awful, haven't they? They got lost heavily to Plymouth, lost to Morecambe in the last minute. Now Exeter, teams that you should be taking points on the last 2 more than Plymouth Argyle, in my opinion. Giovanni Brown is a baller. He's the only player at the moment to have goals and assists in double figures. He's got 6 goals, 4 assists. He doubled his tally from the season just the other day with a hat-trick. And Nomble with another goal as well. 4-0. Forest Green Rovers have lost 5 of their first 6 at home, only beating Accrington, Stanley. They've got the 23rd worst attack in the league, only Morecambe are worse. The 23rd worst defence in the league, only Burton and Albion are worse. And those 2 sit in the bottom 4 with them. So there's no kind of speculation or no kind of reason why they're not out of it, because there's a lot of reasons that they're not doing well at the moment, Forest Green Rovers. And for me, I came out and said I don't rate Burton at the start of the year. I don't think he was the right man in League One. Jake, what did you think? Because as much as we're slaughtering Forest Green, I think all the credit must go to Matt Taylor and Exeter, who have had a fantastic start to the season. They're putting wins on the board, they're scoring goals, and they're rightfully where they are on the table.
Yeah, I'll get to Exeter in a moment, but Forest Green have, dare I say it, out of all the teams that we've had promoted into this league, maybe in the last 3 years, certainly 4 years while we've been up here, I think Forest Green looked to be the worst newly promoted team for a while. And I'm not sure what it is because when we spoke at the start of the season, during the transfer window. We quite liked the business. Amani Little looked very good. Oliver Casey on loan from Blackpool we thought was a tidy signing, but none of the players. Conor Wycombe, he's probably the only one that's got going and probably held his head.
Scored 3 of their 8 goals this year.
This is it. And look, when you've got a defence that you're gonna concede every game, and you're finding it hard to score, you're gonna struggle to win games of football. Ultimately, that's just how it is. And I've seen them firsthand this year. I don't think you have, Nappers, but I thought they were really poor in between the boxes. They defended all right against us, and then scored a bit of a fluky goal to get a point off us. But I don't think I would be doing Exeter any justice by talking about this particular game and saying that they're anything other than Exeter absolutely whitewashing them. I think we said a few weeks ago, didn't we? Who was your player so far of the year? I came out with Giovanni Brown. I think that's pretty much justified now. A hat trick for him on Saturday lunchtime. Just looks so composed, doesn't he? And I think it's just at Exeter it's clicked for him. If you can remember, I know this isn't League Two, but Paul Mullin, when he moved to Cambridge, it just clicked for him. Where he was before, he's been at Tranmere, he's been here, he's been there. It's not quite clicked for him, but it just looks like for Giovanni Brown that Exeter has just done that, like Cole Stockton at Morecambe.
Yeah, just about to mention him.
And he's gone off like an absolute rocket. And I've seen him first hand this year. I thought he was excellent. Footwork, brilliant. Took his goals really well. Sam Nombe is someone who Giovanni Brown's going to get all the headlines, and rightly so. But Sam Nombe is a centre forward that causes absolute havoc against defenders. He makes you play on he plays on the very last shoulder of every defender. Yeah. And it's 85 minutes of the game. It's so hard to defend when he's willing to run in behind. So, no, look, Exeter have really done well so far coming up to this division. You can probably put a contrast and say Exeter may be one of the best promoted sides in New Year's over the last few years, and Forest Green one of the worst. So, yeah, ultimately this was always going to end one way with Forest Green's really poor home record, and Exeter are fairly decent on the road. So. Not really surprised at all given this result.
Yeah, I agree. And, what you said about Nombe there, I think is spot on. You look at teams in League One. Now, we see the difference in quality in League One to League Two. There is a huge difference there, in my opinion. But if you work hard, you put in that extra mile, and you're the perfect player for this level, you can kind of make the step up a little bit. You look at Stockton. It's kind of like a big man, little thing. If he can hold the ball up, you've got Phillips running in behind him. I think Stockton's been okay at Morecambe this year. He won't be mentioned because he hasn't scored goals. Michael Smith does it. He's got, Gregory up there. You've got Patterson. You've got runners from midfield, Bryars, Bannon, those types of players as well. So when you're looking at big target men, Nomble's right up there in the best at this level for me. And Giovanni Brown running in behind. I think I said it last year. I think Alfie May was the best player in League One last year for making those runs in behind him. Dan Alundu is another player that can hold the ball up and feed types like Alfie May as well. So it's going to be crucial that they keep those two on the pitch at all times as well. It was their first away win of the season, Exeter, as well, and it was the 4th win as well. They got 14 points now from the first 10. That's 1.4 points a game. You look at it, you're going to be safe with about 12 games to go. There's going to be bumps in the road, but it's a really good result that to go and score 4 and to kill it off and ruthless. And I think, well, they 2-0 up after 18, 19 minutes, and they just kept going from there. And Forest Green Rovers did improve a little bit, but I think as soon as that third went in, it was only going to go one way. Tony said Rob Edwards has been sacked at Watford. I think I worked out the last 7 managers at Watford, they've had 19.2 games each. 7 managers at 135 league games, so it's no surprise. I don't think he'll go back to Forest Green. I do think he would have been a perfect replacement at Rotherham, but we'll come to that later on because we'll link to one of our League One clubs as well. I think that Rob Edwards would want a Championship move, if I'm honest with you, or a higher League One move. That might come very soon. Barnsley, we'll talk about now, who are going a bit under the radar, aren't they? They're on one of the better forms in League One. I think they've got 11 points in the last 5 games as well. This time out against Charlton. Benson, Cole and Norwood with the goals. Jack Payne did pull one back for Charlton. Where do you want to start off first? Brilliant Barnsley or chaotic Charlton?
Benson. That's where I want to start. what? It's not the fact that but what a goal it was. Like I don't know where he's got the audacity to pick the ball up from there and just go for it. And it's such a nice goal. Like I just imagine you stood maybe like right behind that goal, maybe 10 feet away from it, 12 foot away from it, and the noise that net must have made when that hit the top court. That's like football ASMR, isn't it? But Barnsley, Ben, at home under Michael Duff equals 3 points. Surprised? No, not really. They're doing really well. They obviously they've had their little tricky patch where we were saying they were very inconsistent. You know, they would go and beat a Sheffield Wednesday but not beat a Port Vale. Beating Charlton is a bigger statement than people will give it credit for. Charlton, whilst they're not doing great at the moment, they've still got a decent squad, decent 11. Yeah. So for me, that's a really good result for Bolton. I think you can concentrate on Charlton, but for me, Barnes at the moment just seem to be chugging along under the radar. Like you say, they'll be escaping the likes of Bolton, who's getting quite a few headlines Wednesday, and the rest of the top four. So if Barnsley can keep picking up results like this at home, and occasionally doing it on the road, maybe winning 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 or something, then you'd think they'd be up there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And Devante Cole started very well. A player that I was very critical at Fleetwood, but when he's shown a bit of love and a little bit of time, he can score goals and can be dangerous at this level as well. And Norwood, again, getting up and scoring as well. He came through that good patch last year for Ipswich, where I think he scored 3 and 3. He didn't really do much else since then. And then when scoring an equaliser away at Wigan in December 19th last year, something like that. And it was a huge point for Ipswich at the time because it just kept them in the route for the playoffs because they were so far behind after the awful start under Paul Cook. Again, good start, considering they only had 6 points from the first 5 games. Now they've got 11 from the next 5. They're going to have to carry that on. Next up is Fleetwood, and a chance to get to 20 points after 11, which would look really tiny. It's going to take time, but Michael Duff is a good manager at this level. The squad is better than people think it is. Charlton, for me, I do worry about. If you do look at the bottom of the table, you've got MK Dons, you've got Wycombe, you've got Oxford and Charlton all grouped together in 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th place, respectively. If they were in the top 6, you would not bat an eyelid. And for me, I said Charlton were very poor against Fleetwood, and I was fuming that we didn't win that game of football because I thought Charlton were awful, if I'm honest with you. I think Egbo came on and scored, and he did well, to be fair, when he came on, but they just don't have I don't know what it is, they just don't have a spark at the moment. And it's like you've got Coke, you've got the syrup, but you've got no fizz. And it's like they've got the material there to make it work. I just don't think it fits Ben Garner's system. And I think at the moment he's just going to be another man that comes into Charlton with a squad assembled of 3 or 4 different managers that goes out. I think they need to show a little bit of patience. They're going to have a lot of pain, but overall, I think with Ben Garner, if you give him that little bit of time, he'll replicate what he did at Swindon, in my opinion. I don't think he's got a McCurdy, though, at Charlton to score 20 a season. That is the big issue.
A lot of Jack Payne. I was hoping that's what you were thinking, Ben, when you said that.
I'll give it, yeah. It's not bad for you, but Barnsley, really good. It's 3 wins out of 4 for them. But Charlton, drawn 4 of the last 6, lost 2. Just turning those draws into wins and they'll be okay.
Can we talk Joey Barton now?
We will. Lost again, didn't they? 1-0, home to Accrington.
Yeah, really poor from what I can tell. I've spoken to Charlie this week. Also, I spoke to Kaz. They were pretty fuming based on this performance. Again, a lacklustre performance from the Gas at home. Obviously, they've come off the back of the 6-3 game before the international break against us. Accrington is a game that you think you can bounce back from purely because they're not one of the best sides in the league. They've got Gas have probably got a bigger budget with the atmosphere they can make at the Mem. You're thinking, right, perfect way to rebound back from the humiliation of conceding 6 goals at home. Let's go and beat Accrington and put us back on the right way. But give credit to John Coleman, because John Coleman, every time he's put in that sort of situation, his teams completely show up. And this time it was Pritchard that got the goal. McConville, another assist, which we know we can do very comfortably at this level. And you know what? After that, after the goal, it looks like Accrington were pretty comfortable. I know Aaron Collins had an opportunity, maybe sort of 10 minutes to go, that he probably should have stuck away. And given the form that he's in, you probably expect him to put it away. But still, Accrington, once they go 1-0 up, they're very difficult to defend against. I refuse to believe that just because of maybe 8-9 games they've had this year that they've lost all this trait where they're very good defensively. So Accrington with a lead is a different to Accrington with facing at 0-0. So good 3 points for Accrington, but for Joey Barton, I can imagine a few more results like this and a few more performances like the ones they've put in over the last 10 days or so. Maybe people are going to start calling for his job. I don't know. He's obviously splits opinion already with Rovers supporters, so that would be interesting to see if Barton's out of a job before Christmas or not.
I think what buys Joey Barton time, they were in this situation 12 months ago where they started off very poorly. And I remember they lost at home very early on and he got absolutely battered. Absolutely battered. He got booed. One thing I will say for Joey Barton, he still clapped him. He still went over and thought, that is Joey Barton. No one just thick skin. He's used to that. And he came over that. The one thing they've got that maybe at Charlton, Forest Green, Morecambe, Burton, Albion, Port Vale, Fleetwood, Lincoln, those sorts of sides where they're going to be in and around at the end of the year, they have their budget. And Wale is a very good owner. He's very smart. He always backs his gaffers. And they can bring in a couple of quality loans. Obviously, they got that Anderson last year, who was unbelievable for them. He's now in the Newcastle 8 team, most weeks. He's just been rewarded with a new 4-year deal, I believe, as well. And I do think that'll buy him time. They have only won one of the first 6 at home. If you do look at the teams he played, no disrespect to them, Shrewsbury, Lincoln, Accrington, Forest Green, Rovers, they're 4 of 6 that you think we can try and get 9-10 points here if you want to be in the top 12 at the end of the year. But, teams doesn't win your games in League One. Anyone can beat anyone. And it's a really good result for Accrington. They're up to 13th after 2 wins. And they've started poorly. They've still won 3 games this season. They're still competing. They've only lost once at home. So people talk about the poor home record. Now they've got that home win under the belt. They've only lost 1 at home instead of they've not won at home. And that changes perspective. He's Pritchard as well with a goal. It's a nice little header at the back post as well. And it was in front of the Accrington faithful as well that made the long trip down there as well. So really good for Accrington. I think the message will be for Bristol Rovers is stay patient. You're going to have a huge turnover in January, I believe, as well. They're a good football club. Wales does things properly. And although it is Joey, I think it's rash calling for a manager after 10 games after what he did last year for them as well. So good result for Accrington. And, they're solid at the back. They play 4 at the back against Bristol Rovers 3. Thing is with Joey, if Tony can back me up on this, when he first came to Fleetwood, he said, managers, but you play a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, defend for your lives, he'll never do. He's changed to that. So maybe he's learning in old age, Jake. We'll come to another game in League One as well. And Morecambe lost at home again. Very frustrating for them. Yet to notch at home this year as well. 5 without a win. They've only scored twice at home. That's Arthur against Fleetwood and Jensen Weir against Cambridge. Cambridge did come from behind with a Lancaster goal and a Nibs goal. One thing I like about Cambridge, they get goals from all over, don't they? Smith, Nibs, Ironside, O'Neill, Digby, Lancaster, May from midfield collects a few as well. They're all their goal scorers just this year as well. They won the first 5 out of the first 10. Good record as well. We'll come on to the later subject in Mark Bonner in a bit, but a brilliant result, normally a hard place to go and grind out 3 points against a Derek Adams performance.
Yeah, you completely took the wind out of myself because I was going to go on about how Mark Bonner's going to do really well at Rotherham. But yeah, we'll talk about the game. Yeah, Cambridge United, like you said, goals from all over the park. And I think that might be one of the reasons why he's being looked at. I know we'll go into greater detail later, but to have, to be able to coach your players, whatever position they are, to be able to put the ball in the back of the net is a really good trait to have. And winning 5 games out of your first 10 is going to warrant some sort of attention from elsewhere when you're a Cambridge United, and that's sort of what's happened. But a really good result for Cambridge on the road again. For Morecambe, still, I know they've scored this time, but they just look very toothless going forward. I'm very worried about Morecambe in terms of when to be in. They can, if they can keep a clean sheet, they tend to be okay. But it's just when they go and concede the first one, they go and concede again, pretty much. So, yeah, good result for Cambridge. For Morecambe, I am getting worried now. Obviously, we are about their attack, but even defensively, a few mistakes are starting to cost them, and that will ultimately see them slip into the bottom four and probably stay there for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, they are going to be, down there. They used to. They're the only club in football history to not be relegated. So don't write them off just yet. Is my words. I think if Cole Stockton can get one, he might go on a run. We said this about Michael Smith a few weeks ago. He gets one, he'll go and score in a row. And he's gone and scored 3 or 4 in a row. And Freddie Ladapo is another one who scored at the weekend. Although they lost, he still scored. Cambridge, brilliant. Well, we'll talk about Mark Bonnet now. Sometimes you just think some managers are just fitted for football clubs. Paul Warren was fitted for Rotherham United Football Club. Now, he came in as the fitness coach, and he basically took the job and do a joke Rotherham when they first. I think they got something like 28 points that season. They were losing heavily every week. The players weren't interested. Every year they've been into the Championship, he's got them better, fitter, stronger, mind. And he signed Michael Smith, who, again, he's been an absolute revelation for them. He was from Bury at the time. And they met up for a coffee. He liked to do things one-on-one, meet in person, none of this online stuff, a very old-fashioned style. And he ordered a green tea. And straight away, he goes, I want him in my team. Because he eats right, he goes out and does the right things. He looks after himself. That's the type of player. Mark Bonnet just reminds me of exactly the same. Cares about his players, good with them, good to talk to, arm around the shoulder. Man management is so important in this day and age. You look at 30, 40 years ago about how it was done in the 80s and 90s. It's very different now. But Mark Bonnet, he's got Cambridge from a League Two club. He got them up, got the job done. They never, at any stage last season, you can agree with me, Jake, looked like going down. They might have had a couple of bad performances, but every time they bounced back and they just played a way that suited them. And it was like, you're coming to our stadium, the Abbey, I'm going to get right at you, whoever the club was. The game plan never changed if they were playing Sunderland or Fleetwood. 2 very big football clubs, by the way, there. And that's what I like. And I think that suits at Rotherham United. They've got similar types of players. They're going to play similar types of football, grind out results. Obviously, Rotherham are a little bit better than Cambridge. It's a good move for all parties. I know Cambridge will be devastated to lose him, but I honestly believe that he's left him in good stead on a victory if he does leave before Saturday as well. And Cambridge could define on who they get as replacement, because that could be one of the biggest appointments they've ever made in the history of that football club.
Tell you what, Rob Edwards wouldn't be a bad shout, would it? Going in at Cambridge, if they can afford him. Yeah, maybe worth a go. But no, just on Mark Bonner, I think that more than out of the two of us, Ben, I think I beat the Mark Bonner drum most out of us both by saying he was probably one of the best managers at this level for what he had done with Cambridge. I gave him manager of the season with good reason as well, because if you've ever had the opportunity to speak to him, Mark is an individual who's very calm, very collected, very tactically switched on. Somebody who can switch systems in an instant, and I think that flexibility and that that warming to a football club like he's done at Cambridge has probably put him instead over the likes of Gareth Ainsworth at Rotherham, maybe over the likes of Rob Edwards at Rotherham as well. He plays into a big number 9 like Rotherham traditionally do, so I think it's a move that fits all parties. If I'm going to play devil's advocate, he's only done it at Cambridge, and because he is a fan of Cambridge and he's come through like Paul Warren did it at Rotherham, he's got a bit more time. So when times were bad, maybe at Cambridge, when he had a bad performance or they couldn't win for a couple of games, Mark Bonner was absolutely fine. So I fear that if he steps into the Championship, doesn't quite do what the Rotherham owners want him to do, they might part ways with him. I mean, he'll be set up financially for the rest of his life, whatever he does. But you just have to be careful with taking jobs in the Championship, because you have to take the right one. Like you look at, I'm going to talk about Danny Cowley again, Ben, because that's what I do, mate. Danny Cowley took the wrong Championship job at the time when he left Lincoln City. He was linked with Wednesday. He was linked with West Brom as well. Decided to go to Huddersfield, who had just come down from the Premier League, and it was the wrong job at the wrong time. So it feels like the right time for Mark Bonner because his stock has probably never been higher. But he's got to be so sure that Rotherham, to be fair to them, are a club that stereotypically stick with their managers. So fingers crossed it works out for him. I mean, I've been told that it's all unofficially all signed and sealed. So looking forward to seeing.
So don't worry, Cambridge fans, you'll see him Saturday.
Yeah, you'll see him Saturday. But looking forward to seeing what he can produce in the Championship. Now he's got Brooke Norton-Cuffy as a right wing back, which really excites me. Under Mark Bonner, as a Brooke Norton-Cuffy is sensational. But yeah, just really happy for him. Just really, because he's such a nice bloke, speaks really well, like I say, and I don't think there's a manager at this level who deserves the opportunity more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he is right up there. I think the good thing is, I think Duff got his move to Barnsley. I know they've just been relegated from the Championship. You look at all the other good managers, they've all got the move recently, and he is probably the next one that is in line for it, on a list. And I think it is the right club at the right time for him. You look at him, he's on a good run at the moment. He's doing really well. His stock's high. And Rotherham are probably doing the best they've done in years. Forget the Championship of all. This is new Rotherham now. They're playing really good football. And, I just think they're both going in. It's not like Rotherham are doing really badly and he's got to pick them up and then his stock can be brought down. They're both on the similar page. The one thing is, they're both up there. They both need to come down a little bit, make the earth go. It could come crashing down at any time. Don't believe in the hype just yet. You just keep winning. And under Mark Bonner, they're not going to think they're amazing because he'll bring them straight back down to earth. Port Vale were brought back down to earth, wasn't they? Lost 3-0. Peterborough had lost the previous 4 games before beating Port Vale. They've won 4 out of 5 at the Posh at home. Only Fleetwood have gone there this season and won. Clark Harris, Ward, putting on a show. 7 goals this season for Johnson Clark Harris, the top goal scorer at this level. Imagine my surprise. And Ward grabbed his 18th goal on what was his 200th Peterborough United appearance. Poku getting 2 assists as well. Port Vale an off day, but they've been so good lately, Port Vale. Some good results. But again, these aren't the types of games that will define them at the end of the year. It's those Shrewsbury's, Cheltenham's, Fleetwoods and Lincoln's for Port Vale that will define them.
Don't be snipping us into your little relegation battle, mate. Thank you. Yeah, no, listen. Port Vale will not be earmarked Posh away as a game that they think they're going to get anything from, especially given how strong Posh have been at home stereotypically since they've been in the division. So it'd be good for Peterborough to get back to winning ways, especially at home. Just in general for them to get a win under the belt, because I can imagine they probably forgot what it feels like over the last month or so. Yeah. But, again, clinical at home. Like you say, in the easy moments, Peterborough are very good, aren't they? When they've got an opposition in front of them that they can play with a little bit like a cat does with a mouse. Peterborough are very strong then. Obviously, for Port Vale, like I say, they're not going to be earmarking this sort of game as one they can get points from. But still, to go away and lose 3-0 is never something that any professional football club will want to happen to them. And I think they'll be looking at themselves and going, we need to bounce back, on Saturday. And I imagine, I'm not sure they're playing yet, but I imagine they'll definitely give it a good go. Obviously, I mean, I mentioned to you before we came on air, Ben, the news regarding Peterborough United, the fact that Darren McAntony looks like he's going to sell up at Peterborough. Family reasons, I believe that is. He wants to spend more time with his son and daughter over in Florida as they sort of grow up and become young adults, which is a really important time for fathers to be in their fathers' lives. So, and to be honest, I think Darren McAntony has been a real stalwart of the EFL. I think he's been a real bright diamond for everybody in terms of the way that he's ran the football club. He's done it right. Yes, he's put money in, but he's very active on social media, which I quite like. I think He's very honest with supporters. He had a podcast, etc. And as much as I don't like Peterborough, I envy Peterborough for the way they've been run under Darren McAntony. It's a model that a lot of football clubs are taking note of. Recruiting from non-league and building them, bringing them up to the league. You've got to look at Ivan Toney. He's been called up for England. Dwight Gale, etc.
George Boyd,
all these names that have come
Mikhail
through
Smith.
Peterborough. There's loads of them. British Umbelonga, the list goes on. George Grant, fantastic footballer. But listen, it will be a shame for Peterborough because Darren McAntony is definitely an asset, and they've got to make sure they sell it to the right person. I think that the reporter asked, or the podcaster asked, are you going to stay on and do something behind the scenes? He said, no, I'm completely just going to sell up because if I was there partly, I'd want to do it all, and that wouldn't be fair on a new owner. So, upset if you're a Posh fan, absolutely, but Peterborough are an attractive football club to buy. A team that can bounce with, they're a team that are very strong at this level, and you'd think that would find somebody who's wanting to buy a Championship club, but have found them a little bit too expensive. So you go and buy a League One club that have been there recently, and you go and put a bit of money into them and try and sustain them as a Championship club. So unfortunately, I don't think it's the end for Peterborough United. But like I said, I can imagine that Darryl will only sell to someone that he knows is going to look after the long-term future of that football club.
Yeah, I agree. I like Darren a lot. I like very similar to Andy Holt. There's a different Darryl. Anyway, the difference is with McAntony to Holt is, I think McAntony, he has an opinion, but he doesn't rub it in your face. For me, I think Andy Holt sometimes can rub it, like, my opinion has got to be your opinion. And I think McAntony does things for the EFL. Holt just does it for the benefit of Accrington standing. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think sometimes I don't agree. I don't agree with a lot of what Holt does. I agree with a lot of what McAntony does. It's just personal preference. Both are good owners. Both have done well for the football club. Peterborough United have got two new stands. One built 12 years ago. One built about 6 years ago. They've got safe standing now. Got a good ground, good pitch. Good city. And a decent fan base. Not the worst, not the best. Got 5,000-6,000 there every week. So there's something to build on at Posh as well. So I think that's very important. We'll talk about, for me, one of the best football clubs at this level, and I'm not sleeping on Sheffield Wednesday, who did play Wycombe. I'll talk about Wycombe just quickly. They've lost 4 of the first 6 away from home, only beaten Barnsley. One win in 5 matches since beating Barnsley 3-0 away. Even Anis Mehmeti couldn't do anything about this display. Jacobson, Bannon and Patterson with the goals. For me, the goals are spread it all across at Wednesday. And the difference is, your Windasses, who I think has got 5 goal contributions this season already. So Barry Bannon. You've got Bryce from midfield, who's doing really well. You've got Patterson coming off the bench in the 90th minute, scoring in the 96th minute to see Homer a victory as well. You've got, Lee Gregory, who can score goals at this level. He's not really got going yet, in my opinion. Michael Smith, who scored a couple of goals, who, can be on fire. You've got Malik Wilkes coming off the bench. And the squad depth is there at Sheffield Wednesday. The 5 sub rule is coming in handy. I think Darren Moore would be a very unpopular man if he didn't have 5 subs, because he'd be not being able to give the game time out like he has done. I like Darren Moore. I think he's a good human being. I think he's a good manager. I think there's a lot of pressure on him, and I think that he is like a Mark Bonner type. I just think that he's had a big job with big pressure at a very good football club, big expectations, and maybe that is going to get him sometime in his reign there. But I've been really impressed by Sheffield Wednesday. We talk about Ipswich, we talk about Plymouth, we talk about Portsmouth. They're that 4th club in there. Then you've got Bolton just in behind them, in my opinion. They are there for a reason. They're playing good stuff. They were 2-0 down against Ipswich. They drew 2-2. So for me, good football club. I respect them a lot. They got goals from all over. They play good stuff. And they can switch in an island. Was it Bryce at Peterborough away who kicked off at the manager? Since then, everyone's kicked on. That's what I mean about Darren Moore being a good human being. He forgives that. It's going to happen. You're going to get frustrated, and they've kicked on. And again, they've still got a lot of work to do away from home, but At home, they're always going to be a threat. They got 50 points at home last year for good reason as well.
Yeah, I just want to pick you up on something you said about Anis Mehmeti. You said he couldn't impact the game at all. Have you not seen the assist that he did?
I did, but I said Anis Mehmeti couldn't even do anything else about losing 3-1. He did impact the game, but
he danced around
his fact that he couldn't stop Wednesday scoring 3 goals and winning by 3-1. He's not that good.
He made Hillsbury his dance for a little bit. I mean, have you seen? Anis Mehmeti is definitely one of the best attacking footballers at this level this season, without a doubt so far. Really, really good footwork to get down that with the right hand side of the Wednesday back line and cut the ball across. Can't think of the man who scored it now. Wasn't Lewis Wing, because I know he'd got a load of stickers.
It was Jacobson, Bannon, and Patterson who got the goals.
So Jacobson. And then moving on to Sheffield Wednesday again. I thought they were really bright. I think it epitomised everything that they're about. I think it was one of the goals. It took 4 passes from goalkeeper to Barry Bannon sticking it in at the back post, and giving it to a Wycombe fan. I think Josh Windass made a bit of a tweet about that, saying this was Baz in 15 years or something, which I quite liked as well.
I like Josh Windass a lot.
But the thing with Wednesday is, Ben, like you say, I've spoken to a few Wednesday fans this week because we're playing them in a couple of weeks, and they've got so many options going forward. It's genuinely scary. You've mentioned them there, but you didn't even mention. I don't know if you mentioned Alex Myton, who is for me one of the better loanees at this level. I think they're using him wrong, though. From what I've been told, they've been using Alex Myton as a number 10. He's a wide player, and I think he's put in better performances. I think he did it against Burton in the Papa John's Trophy. They lost, but Alex Myton looked really good that night, playing out on the wing. So, yeah, really good result for Wednesday. Obviously, keeping up with the rest of the top 3, which is pivotal for them. If they're going to want to stand a chance of automatic promotion, they're going to have to keep winning, because it looks like. I'll do it like this. You know, when you're playing FIFA career mode, Ben, you're playing in the Premier League, you've just realised you've got to keep winning, because the teams like Man City or Liverpool at the top, once they win a game, FIFA then thinks they're going to win every week. So they then win every week, and you're thinking, coming back into the menus, oh, brilliant. Let's see if City drop points, or whoever you're going up for the league title drop point. Oh, what a surprise. They've won 4-0 and not had a scratch. So, for me, Wednesday in a similar situation where they've got to keep winning. They'll take confidence from the fact that Ipswich and Pompey will play each other this weekend. They'll take confidence from the fact that Ipswich have dropped points this weekend, which we'll come on to. But they're just going to have to be relentless if they're going to want to get promoted. And that's not what they had in them last year. They weren't relentless, were they? So, you know, if you're a Wednesday fan, fingers crossed that they've installed that trait, and hopefully they can get a couple of wins and stick around in the playoffs this year.
I think they're going to need 90 points to get into the top 2 this year.
Yeah,
I really do. 90 points is, for me, the quality is unreal. And it's annoying me in a way that people are sleeping on Bolton. I think Bolton need to make a couple more statements. They've been a bit up and down, in my opinion. I know they beat Peterborough and Wycombe at home. They went away at Plymouth and lost. Everyone goes to Plymouth and loses at this moment in time. They're 5 out of 5. They're unbelievable. They went to Exeter and Drew, so they're not bad. I'm just waiting for that massive one statement where they go away, win 2-0, dominate the proceedings, and they go, oh, Sheffield Wednesday aren't as good as we thought, or Portsmouth aren't as quite as good as we thought. Stuff like that. And they will come, because Ian Everett's a good manager, and they've got a really good defence, Bolton. Don't score many as Portsmouth, is it? Just Plymouth. But they're very tight at the back to compensate. And, we'll see that.
So whatever we said about Mark Bonner seems like it's off. Apparently, this is coming from Paul Davis, who is the Rotherham Advertiser journalist. He said, understand Mark Bonner is leaning towards staying with Cambridge. Should be news from there on tomorrow morning.
Play that music. Are we ready? Let's get him on the big screen. Hang on. Oh, we've muted him. Let's get him on the big screen for this. Start
listening to
Lads, what did I tell you? Anything he tells you, right? Take it with a pinch of salt, right?
Blame
it's
Gary
Boris
Hutchinson.
Johnson over it, more with BS as we speak. But take the Prime Minister.
No, you can blame Gary. He's the one that told me.
Right, anyway, there's always someone. But Mark Bonner staying at Cambridge. Cambridge fans, see you Saturday. And I'm glad that he's staying in a way because I think I'm not going to say championship, but I think I don't think there's any reason why Cambridge can't challenge for the top 6 with Mark Bonner in the next 2 or 3 years.
Watch him go now, Ben. Watch him go now. Just after all tomorrow morning, we're happy to announce that Mark Bonner has signed a 4-year deal to take charge of Rotherham United.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Right. We'll talk about Shrewsbury quickly because I really want to get on to this next game. Again, good win. Back-to-back home win. Sadie Bowman for the host, Adibi Ajo for the Brewers. Burton lost, although putting in better performances lately. I'm getting a bit unfortunate because there's still a long, long way to go this season. Whatever Dino's feeding them, turkey dinosaurs, alphabetic spaghetti, whatever he's feeding them, they seem to be having a reaction and they're playing from. They were good against Portsmouth when I was speaking to Tom. They were good against Shrewsbury, could have nicked a point. Already then, if you're 2 points extra, you're not looking over your shoulder as much. So there's going to be a lot of work to be done. Shrewsbury have only lost once in 5 matches, and that was to Port Vale. But that is Shrewsbury style. They win one, they'll draw one, they'll lose one, they'll tick along nicely, they'll get to 50 points. Season's done with 10 games to go. You don't hear of them again. You said that last week, Jake, didn't you? And we agree.
We do agree, but I don't know if you see especially the first goal. I think the second goal that they scored. It's that combination again of the old Cov boys. It's Bayliss through to Shipley who put it on a plate for Bowman, and those two. I feel like we talk about them every time Shrewsbury do well because they're probably 2 of the best players that they've got. And in Ryan Bowman, I think Sadie, who had a loan spell with Burton Albion last year on loan from AFC Bournemouth. They've got 2 players that can find the net regularly, and then you've also got to factor in Daniel Udo has still got to come back into the fold as well. So, look, Shrewsbury, I think they're looking forward more this season than they were last year. I think last year they were probably tentatively looking over their shoulder, maybe 20
They're
games.
a bit more positive, I think, on the front. And they started better as well from doing that approach.
But the thing is, with this better start, are they then going to have a really poor middle and then sort themselves at the end? So we'll have to see. But like you said, Burton, pretty unfortunate from what I could tell. Fashioned a few opportunities and were unlucky not to take at least one of those and come away with a point. But that's football. Sometimes you get the last minute equaliser to make it 2-2. Sometimes you don't you, Ben?
I'll let you start off with Plymouth and Ipswich because I've got quite a little bit to say about both sides. Plymouth 2, Ipswich 1, live on Sky, Sunday game, early kick-off. I didn't watch it at the time, watched bits back since, and very impressed, that's all I can say. I'll let you start, Jake.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about my mate Morgan, who went to school down the road from me. What a goal, by the way. Morgan
at least there's one good thing to come out of Lincoln.
Well, yeah. Well, he's a good bloke, Morgan, to be fair to him. Listen, for me, this game was really important in terms of keeping momentum going because Ipswich also on a good run. Plymouth on a very good run at this moment in time. And to be honest, I did watch it live, and when Ladapo put Ipswich 1-0 up, you sort of felt, right, go on then Ipswich, go and tear them apart like you've threatened to do a few teams so far this year. You know, because I don't think Ipswich have absolutely blown anybody away of note. No. So I'm thinking, go on then Ipswich, go and blow them away. And they just didn't. They didn't take the chances, and Ipswich were very sloppy in the final third. I didn't think that they weren't taking the chances like we know they can do. And ultimately, when you don't take your chances in a big game of football like this one was on the Sky Telly against a team who can make chances for fun, and they did, you're going to come up short. And ultimately, Barley Mumba, who you love, Ben, absolutely. I think he had a really poor loan spell with Peterborough last year, but he's taken like a duck to water down at Plymouth, done really well, scoring another goal, and then to come back from staring defeat in the face to go in and scoring 2 goals in 6 minutes, and Morgan's goal is a really good strike. Morgan is technically a very good footballer, one of the best I've seen play for Lincoln. Similar technical level to Brennan Johnson when Brennan Johnson was on Lincoln a few years ago. just Brennan Johnson had the motivation and the willpower to do it. Whereas at times you question Morgan's attitude. But ever since he walked in the building at Plymouth, I've been told it's completely different. He's eager to learn. He's happy to play in a number of positions. Looks like he's been playing a little bit at right wing back. He's been playing on the right hand side of the midfield three. He's played up top as well. So done really well, and it's a really good strike. Morgan's got that in his locker. I know that. I've seen it a few times. Even Derby fans and Swansea fans will tell you that he's got that completely in his locker. So Argyle, great win. I think it sees them top of the league, Ben. Trust me, it does, doesn't it? Yep, it does.
2 points.
7 wins from 10 games. Excellent start for Argyle. You can see why Stephen Schumacher was being linked with a job down at Huddersfield, can't you? Based on the start that they've made. But I think he's better off staying where he is at the moment, given the fact that Plymouth, you look at the teams that have the late disappointment in the season, like Plymouth did, being in the playoffs pretty much all last year and then losing out on the final day, losing to MK Dons 5-0. And then you've got, your likes of Wycombe, who have really, really struggled, haven't you, so far this year? MK Dons have struggled. Sheffield Wednesday haven't. But Plymouth have taken last year's narrow failure and completely flipped it in their own momentum and just kicked on. And I think the continuity of having Stephen Schumacher, who was there before they were any good anyway, given the fact that he was working under Ryan Lowe, I think that's been massive to their success. And I think if he was to take the job at Huddersfield, I know he won't because they've filled the position, I think it would be detrimental to Plymouth Argyle, more so than Ryan Lowe when he left for Preston. But a really entertaining game of football, 2 really good footballing sides, and if I'm honest, I think Plymouth deserved it based on the 90 minutes.
Agree. Now, we're going to get on to Plymouth. I talked about Ipswich quickly. Poor defeat. Good. Happy for the Dapper getting up and running. First goal as well. That'd be a big thing for him. It's Joe Pigott style. Wasn't scoring. Finally got that goal as well. How we bounce back from it? Look, Paul's going to lose eventually. Plymouth are going to lose again eventually. It's all on how you bounce back. Plymouth have lost a couple of times this year to Fleetwood and Charlton. Always bounced back and done really well, especially since that Charlton defeat. They haven't lost, have they? Lost 5-1 and Charlton have gone one way, Plymouth have gone the other. Mumba's got another goal and Whittaker with an absolute beauty. I love Whittaker. I love Mumba. I love a lot of Plymouth players. Now, what annoys me about people from the outside is they all see Wednesday, they all see Portsmouth, they all see, Ipswich Town, Bolton Wanderers, all these big football clubs. They never mention Plymouth, who are one of the best supported in League One. They get 14, 15, 16,000 at home. It's a beautiful stadium, Home Park. It's electric. One of the best noises in League One. I ranked that second last year on noise, behind those boys at Lincoln as well. And you say the Fratton end sucks the ball in. Home Park, they suck the ball into both goals. So how loud they are, on top of the players they are. You go to the ground and you think, we're in a stadium here, we're in a battle here. They've won the first 5 home games. Very disappointed, though, with the weekend that they conceded a goal for the first time at Home Park this season. You're meant to keep a clean sheet every week, lads. Come on. They've beaten Barnsley at home. They've beaten Peterborough at home. They've beaten, Bolton at home. They've beaten Oxford at home. They've beaten Ipswich at home. Those 5 clubs, at the start of the year, you'd be going promotion race, playoff race, promotion race, title race. Easily, wouldn't you? They play with great energy. And for me, Stephen Schumacher's gone in there. Number 2s don't normally do well at football clubs. They don't. More fail than work out. I think it's just added on to it. And the players believe in what he's saying. He's a good manager. He's a good bloke. He's honest bloke. And he has been welcomed by the Plymouth fans. And he's welcomed them in. And he's been honest and said, I am not going. I am staying here. If he stays at Plymouth Argyle and gets him promoted, it'll be a massive achievement. And it's something that Plymouth need, because Home Park, Plymouth Argyle, they are a good football club. They deserve Championship football. It wasn't long ago they were in League Two struggling. Now, fighting for a place back into the Championship. And they get one goal, they go and get another one. They can just, for 10 minutes, destroy you. Absolutely destroy you. And what other teams can't do in 90 minutes or 900 minutes, they can do in 10, 12 minutes because how relentless they are, how good they are, and they made Ipswich look pretty standard. And they're not. Ipswich are a very good side and got good everything. Ipswich, good owners, good manager, good fans. I respect them a lot. And for me, I honestly believe they'll get promoted this year. I've got no doubt in my mind they're getting promoted. I can see that 10 games in. Look, it could all go to pieces. They didn't lose Barkamara, didn't lose anyone in the January transfer window. MK Dons lost big players. Oxford lost big players. Wycombe lost big players. Plymouth didn't, and they added to it. Mumba they added Whittaker, they added Finazaz. They added quality where others didn't. And for me, superb. Still can't beat Fleetwood though. We'll add that in at the end. Jake, again, we'll have a look at the League One table quickly before we go into the weekend's game as well. When you're looking at it, very up and down at the minute. Obviously, Plymouth and Ipswich make up the top two, and you've got Portsmouth and Wednesday just in behind. Obviously, Portsmouth have that game in hand. They do play Ipswich this weekend as well. Barnsley and Bolton make up the top six. And we were saying we've been disappointed by the rest of the team. Do you think 5 or 6 are doing really well? You're looking at maybe breaking into the playoffs. Do you think Peterborough, Derby are the only teams that can break in? And they've been pretty standard this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, the top half is made up. The top 6 is made of teams you'd think, and then pretty much from there down to maybe 15th are clubs that are really tightly put together that that are probably expected to be down towards the bottom half rather than the top half. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got the likes in there of Cambridge, Exeter, Lincoln, Accrington, Port Vale, Fleetwood. They're not teams that you would associate with finishing the top half, and that's no disrespect, but I think that they're taking advantage of some of the better clubs in the division, but better clubs having a poor recruitment window in the summer. You look at the likes of Wycombe, awful window. Oxford, awful window.
They look horrific.
MK Dons as well, awful transfer window based on what they had and what they've lost. So they're taking advantage of that. And you know what? As a supporter of one of the teams that have been boosted up a few places, you're not going to moan, are you? You're the same as well. So, you say that it might only be Peterborough and Derby that you would expect to pump into the top 6. I wouldn't expect Derby to be there at all, Ben.
I think they're so poor. If I'm honest with you, I'm not going to be like this. I think they're very... Now, they came to Fleetwood, right? They had 28 shots, whatever. They had 6 on target, bear in mind, right? Maybe bar 1 scramble off the line. They never looked like scoring. Expected goals of 2.08 against us by having 28 shots. For me, they were very poor, very passive. Fleetwood were very poor against them as well, but they didn't impact the game as well. For me, they just... I think because the team's older, more experienced, they lack energy. Plymouth are just like so much energy and so much hype, and it's like Stephen Schumacher's basically gone round the dressing room and given them wine gums, fruit pastels, Smarties before the game, and they're all gone like that and kind of they're ready to go out now. With Derby they're a bit like going into the game half bothered as well. Some of these, they've got good players, but they just haven't got the hype. So for me, I agree with you there.
Yeah, Derby going into the game thinking, we're Derby County, we're going to win this game already. We've won the game by being Derby County. And so many big teams have found out at this level that simply isn't good enough.
It doesn't work.
Ask Sunderland fans, ask Sheffield Wednesday fans, ask Ipswich fans. They've all been down there absolutely donkeys here. Well, they have been. I think maybe like you said it right at the start of the season, Ben. I can remember saying we think there's going to be one team this year that shouldn't be in the top 6, but we think is going to finish there. And to be honest, based on the first 9-10 games of the season, I think your thesis has got some ground to it. I think one of those teams that are currently occupying those sort of 7th to maybe 15th. Well, maybe we'll draw the line at 13th, because Fleetwood are 14th, aren't they? Shirts up there. No. I think any of those teams, if they put a really strong one together and go and win 5 games on a bounce, you're going to be up there with the likes of Wednesday and Bolton. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I think this League One season is far more fascinating than the one we had last year,
Yeah.
because it's far more evenly matched. Whereas last year there was such a split in terms of budgets and quality. That budget split is still very much there, but I think
the gap's closed a little bit.
I think I think what it is, it's clubs that have got really good sporting directors or directors of football who are really good at, and a lot of these teams that are up there have got new managers at the football club. Fleetwood, we've got a new manager in who have got contacts and have gone through doing the badges and all this. So, yeah, for me, this is a more enjoyable League One team. Not because my team are doing better and because we don't look like we're going to go down every 5 minutes, but because the gap's smaller. Fleetwood could beat Plymouth. Well, they have beaten Plymouth. Do you know what I mean? We could go in a couple of weeks and go and beat Wednesday. We could go and beat Ipswich.
You can beat anyone.
I don't want to.
Oh, no, you haven't said it. I tell you what, right? If you beat Sheffield Wednesday, right, you're not coming on the next show because they're a good club and I need them to subscribe to this channel.
Ben, can I tell you about I know I don't want to make this too Lincoln related, but I just want to inform you of our run in the league, right? So Saturday, 1st of October, Bolton away. Saturday, 8th of October, Charlton at home. 15th of October, Ipswich away. Saturday, the 22nd of October, Sheffield Wednesday at home. Saturday, the 25th of October, Tuesday, it's a Tuesday night, Barnsley away. Help me, please.
I know what you feel because we've got Portsmouth coming up, we've got Barnsley coming up, we've got tough sides coming up, but anyone can meet anyone, Jake, and it could be one of those months where you're still where you are and you're buzzing and you think, well, hang on, we're 5 points off the playoffs here and we've got some winnable fixtures coming up.
Yeah, I think 5 points from that would be good if we can.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're looking at it, there is going to be one team that goes into the playoffs, and all it takes is a 10-game unbeaten run, win 5, draw 5. That's what, 20 points, 2 points a game. All of a sudden you're going from, say, a Lincoln go from 13 to 33 points, and you're on 20 games. You think after 20 games you should be in the playoffs on that form, and that's the difference as well.
Tony's comment, I like that. I like Tony's comment. Tony knows football.
Exactly.
Tony.
He thinks he knows football, don't you, Tony? He's a good lad, Tony. You got Charlton, Wycombe, MK, and Oxford. I don't think any of those will burst into the playoffs like they normally do. And you see about the difference. Only 3 teams went up, Jake. But if you look about it, MK Dons lost the best 2 players, didn't they? In Scott Twine, he being absolutely massive, and obviously the defender who left as well. You've got Charlton, who didn't really invest, didn't add to what they needed to. You've got Oxford, who lost a couple of players and lost a sporting director, more importantly, and that's been seized upon. You look at Derby, they haven't really done anything. Barnsley are on a good run. So you think that, the 9 teams that were in it last year, 2 or 3 have dropped off because they've lost players. So that is why I think it's more evenly split. We'll come into the game just quickly this weekend. So get your comments in down below as well. Pin loads of questions, and so we got more time to answer them as well. And give this stream a like; it'll be massively appreciated. Not too many likes on this one so far, so if you could like it, let's get over 25 likes. That'd be massively appreciated as well. Aki play Morecambe, a big game, a Lancashire derby. Accrington looking for 3 wins from 3. A win could put them into the top 10. Morecambe, a win could see them outside of the bottom 4. Bolton Lincoln, how do you fancy your chances? Because for me, Bolton are gettable, but they're a very good side. If you go at them, they can easily pick you off with the players like Valson, Charles, Morley, Bradley, Jack Iredale, those sorts of players. But Lincoln, good side as well.
Yeah, I think it's a game we're going to be playing very much on the counter-attack. I imagine we'll be saying to Bolton, right, come and break us down, and if you lose the ball, then we're going to hit you on the counter-attack with the likes of Garrick, the likes of Jack Diamond, who is probably one of the most informed players in the division at this minute in time.
Shining bright like a diamond.
Well, do you know what? I've had a few conversations with Cornell this week. I stood next to them at Bristol Rovers away, so no, looking forward to Bolton. Should be a really good game. Hopefully, I've not got to supply my postcode to get into a pub like I did this when I went there last year. But definitely, I think, like Tony says, I think a game that we can go there and win. Tell Bolton, go on then, go and break us down, show us how good you are. And if you give the ball away on the counter attack, you saw how good we were last time out. So if you can stop us from doing that, then fair play. But definitely a winnable game. But like you say, Bolton do have the ability to pick you off. I would take a point at this moment in time, Ben. Similar to what you probably would take. I know you're bored of draws, Ben, but you'd take a point against Barnsley, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Burton Forest Green is the biggest 6-pointer in the bottom half I was going to say this week, then you look down and you think, Ipswich, Portsmouth, those sorts of games as well. It's a huge game. I think Burton needs to win that. I think if they can get a win there, I think whoever wins that, it's going to be a draw now, I said that. Whoever wins that has that little bit of advantage going into the next part of the season, a little bit of something to kick upon. Cambridge Derby, Jake, again, Derby should be looking to go into Cambridge with 3 points, but Cambridge are no mugs. They won 4 of the first 5 home games, lost last time out, but a difficult place to go is the Abbey.
Yeah, and Derby don't particularly travel very well. They don't score on the travels very often.
Travel sickness, don't they?
Who was it that came down that had travel sickness previously? Was it? I feel like it might have been Ipswich.
Yeah.
When they first came down, I thought they were awful on the road. I remember them coming to us, and we just absolutely played them off the park and beat them 5-3. But
we beat them 2-0.
Derby, I think will probably lose that, and hopefully, well, fingers crossed. It's a Mark Bonner masterclass, but knowing us, we've got absolutely no idea if he's going to Rotherham. 1 minute he is, 1 minute he's not. So we'll see. But the biggest 6-pointer, mate, is down at Cheltenham, Shrewsbury. What a game!
Yeah,
games for all ages. That down at the Suzuki Stadium, whatever they call themselves now. Down the
20th against 9th. I think both sides will be attempting 3, but I think it's an opportunity for Charlton, to say the least. Charlton Oxford is a big game. 2 sides that a win could really kick them on into mid-table, and we could see them maybe only 5 points off the playoffs. So still early on, still a lot of ground to make up after 11 games, but it's a huge game. Exeter Bristol Rovers again. Exeter hammered Bristol Rovers 4-1 last year, and Joey Barton came out after the game and said, "We're going to get promoted. I've got no doubt about it." So huge game for both football clubs, and Exeter doing better at the moment in time. Fleetwood Barnsley, I fancy our chances to get at them. I am bored of drawing, but when you're drawing against good sides, you're not losing games of football. No. Barnsley can pick you up in a rabbit hole, really. They can like that. I think Barnsley is similar to Charlton, a little bit flat at times, but they're starting to shed a little bit of spice at the moment, which is really good to see.
Did you just call us a good side? Did you just call us a good side then?
Wow. Ipswich, Portsmouth.
Pompey.
9 games, 21 points. Portsmouth, 10 games, 21 points. Ipswich.
Portsmouth.
Ipswich are at home.
Yeah, don't care.
It doesn't matter if we're at home.
It doesn't matter.
Danny Cowley, for me, when he's on a good run, he had one at Lincoln, we all know about. He's had one at Portsmouth, which he's on an unbelievable run. He just seems like an unbelievable bloke, by the way. So down to earth.
Great video by Tom, wasn't it?
Oh, really mate, video unreal. By Tom. He made Andrew a cup of tea, and it's just like
I cried.
You're buying into that. I'm going to go a draw because I'm going to sit on the fence. I really am. And I believe it will be a draw. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw at this moment in time. I think Portsmouth are better than Ipswich over a 46-game season. I think they've got a more assembled 11. I think Portsmouth have got a better 11. I think Ipswich have got a better squad. That's how I describe it.
For me, Danny Cowley's teams are very good in big games away from home. I look at games when we won League Two. I look at the away games that we played against those that were up there as well. We beat MK Dons. We didn't lose to Bury. We didn't lose to Mansfield. Massive games at the top of League Two as it was. But I can't look anything past a Pompey win. Like the feel good factor at Pompey is just there, and Nicky Cat, like Danny and Nicky Cat, they like going to Portman Road. They quite enjoy themselves down there. So it's one that I think that they can attack, and they've got some good memories. So I'm hoping for another Nicky Cowley fist bump in in Tom's vlog, because
I love
very,
it.
look, I don't know about you. I know to talk about Tom's video again.
Can I ask you something? Right.
Yeah.
When you're watching Tom's videos, right, you not look at it, right, and it's like you're looking back at, like, you're not over your ex-girlfriend yet,
I'm not.
right, and
Yeah.
you're still looking at pictures on your phone, and you're seeing the fist bumps, and you're going, I miss you, I miss us.
Yeah.
I miss you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ever feel like, especially maybe last year when you weren't doing as well. I know you're doing a little bit better now. For me, I used to look at Joey Barton last year and thinking, I hate this blood, but I'm jealous. I want him back. But I look at him now, and the more he comes out, I'm like, nah, I'm all right, I'm over you now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't even need to look at photos of Danny to know that I'm not over him. Like, just the way he spoke in that video as well, it just sounded so similar to the things he was saying when he was at Lincoln. That's not a bad thing, because look what he did with us. He's serenading the Pompey fans. He knows what he's doing. He's talking the talk. He can walk the walk as well. But I'm hoping that Mark Kennedy is going to be that one that gets me over my ex-girlfriend, because I thought it was going to be Michael Appleton. He nearly did it. He was the nearly girl. Do you know what I mean? We got engaged. We were about to go and get married at the altar, and then we just capitulated there. We had an argument at the altar during the vows, whatever. I'm hoping this new girl Mark is gonna serenade me like he has in his Irish. Mate, just listening to an Irish manager, it's bloody lovely. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. I'll say it before you say it. I won't know anything about ex-girls, so as you can probably tell.
Yeah, of course.
Nothing will ever come close to Uwe Rosler for me. I loved him. I wish my vlogs were better under his season, because I wish I could capture it a lot better. And I have deep regrets about that season, because there's memories there. Memories. The only time I've ever cried at a football game was Bradford in the playoffs, by the way. I didn't cry at Wycombe because I was fuming, more angry against Wycombe at one man, and it wasn't a player. We'll come back. MK Dons, Peterborough, two good sides technically. MK Dons yet to get going, but when they have played well, they have put in some good performances. You know, they went to Morecambe, won. You know, they beat Oxford away from home, beat Port Vale at home. So there are performances. I think out of them, Oxford, Wycombe, and Charlton, they are the best side out of them. But they're playing Peterborough, who struggle away. I think Peterborough will win that, in my opinion, as well. Port Vale, Sheffield Wednesday. I love Sheffield Wednesday. They'll take 4,000 fans, no doubt. I think it's going to define a lot on how quickly Port Vale can get the ball to James Wilson, Ellis Harrison through the lines, and feed Ben Garrity through the middle. It's how Bryers and Bannon and those types of plays doing the midfield. I think it's going to be one in that midfield area as well. I just think Wendy have got a better attacking Michael Smith, Lee Gregory, Windass, Patterson, the options, Malik Wilkes, they've got their disposal. I think they can just kill Port Vale off. And Wycombe against Plymouth. Wycombe needs it up and running, especially at Adams Park as well. But Plymouth, for me, just look, I don't think they look beatable, but Wycombe are one that, we say that Plymouth, if they go 1-0 down, they just turn up a gear and they can win it 3-1. Wycombe could be that team to stop it, because when they go 1-0 up, they're normally really good at frustrating you. And normally that you get a point from it. You know what I mean? Those types of games. Because 55% of the time that you go 1-0 up, you don't end up winning as well.
Yeah. Difficult place to go for Plymouth to keep the record up. But I understand that Wycombe are very good at home and like you say, but I've just got a feeling that Plymouth have a way around that. They have an answer for everything. They're like your annoying cousin who's always got an answer for everything. So, yeah, for me, I still think Plymouth come away comfortable victors from that one.
Yeah, agree. For me, it's going to be a fascinating game. Two different styles. Plymouth play really good football, and I'm enjoying every moment of this Sky Bet League One season. You've got goals, you've got good sides, you've got poor sides, you've got somewhere in the middle side, you've got people beating each other all over the pitch. You've got points galore happening as well. We've still got so many games to catch up on as well. I was saying to Jake off air, we're 10 games in. There's 36 games to fit in about 9 months. So it's in 8 months or so. No, 7 months now. You know what I mean? So it's like there's going to be 5 or 6 games a month now. And, we only play 2 in November. So you think about it, you're going to probably play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday every week now. And then you've got the Emirates FA Cup to come in as well. You've got the Papa John's Trophy to progress with. I know you're going to use a lot of your reserve string players. There's so much football still to be played. We're going to cover it all on this channel as well. We have started a new series where we call it a League One chat, where it's just a 20 to 25-minute chat just about League One and how the opposition fan is talking. We're going to have 24 different fans on across the season. Jake here will be coming on very, very soon as well. We're going to end the show here, but again, good show. Again, looking forward to Saturday. So many big games. We will be back next weekend or next week to discuss it again as well. Jake, any final words, mate?
No, I mean, if I can finally plug my channel, if that's all right, because I know you've done it on the...
Mate. I was about to, get onto that.
Yeah,
as we always do.
If you could come and listen to the Station West podcast over on Spotify, Apple, whatever you like. We've got a blog. Gary writes a really good blog, and also we've got the YouTube channel which I run. I bloody forget my own thing, don't I? So yeah, like it says down.
Don't worry, I forget that as well.
Well, it says down here. It's coming. There it is. Look, there we go. Coming across.
Really well.
Trying to get to 1K. It's no numbers compared to the man that I'm sat next to, but you've got to start somewhere. And fortunately, we've had a lot of support for it. So got some good content coming up. Previews, a review show every week as well. So come over, even if you're not a Lincoln fan, because we like having discussions. I've also got Twitter, so love having just football chats about. If you don't want to talk about League One, talk to me about anything football related. I'll have a chat with you on Twitter. So Jake_Tong98 as well. So come and give me a follow and a like, and we'll see if we can have a good chat. More than a good chat than I do with Ben most of the time.
I was just about to say, by the way, something really nice about you for once. I was about to say, what I love is having a chat. 4-0 written all over it is top. Jack from Oxford, brilliant lad as well, who hopefully we can do something, on this channel this season as well. Jake as well. These just a few. And I'm very, not fussy, but very particular who I like talking to about football. And Jake is in that small minority. So, guys, if you could go and subscribe to him, it would mean a lot as well, because he does work hard. I do enjoy spending time with him, and he gives up his own time to come on this show as well. So give him a subscription. Give this channel a subscription as well. Again, I'll be honest with you guys, it's been really hard lately. I've had university work, work placements, but we are getting content out as quickly as we can as well. Match vlogs won't be changed as well. They're coming quick and fast. 3 games next week as well. Get notifications on if you haven't already. Again, Football Content Awards, if you want to go over to their website and vote me for Best Football Club Content Creating the Football League, that'd be massively appreciated as well. Give this stream a like as you go as well. Let's get over 30 likes. We're on 25 at the moment. Until next time, guys, a big over and out for me. Jake, I know you're going to ruin it here because I want to end it straight away after you say these 3 words.
No.
Any final words?
Yeah, up the imps.
Up the odds, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back for a predictions video on Friday. We'll have Barnsley at home vlog about 7 o'clock on Saturday, and more League One roundup next week. See you later, guys. Thank you very much for watching. It's a big over and out from me, and a big over and out from Jake.